What is up, Rad Potential YouTube? I'm Mr. Rad, and we are working on Buzz, the yellow RX8 today. So this is a stock Renesis, eBay turbo, Amazon intercooler piping kit, turbo, budget, cheap RX8. We've got a little bit of things to finish up, and then we're going to take this thing on its maiden voyage off of the ranch property, so not just, outside the door in the dark to blow fires out of the hood because it looked cool. We're going to hook the laptop up and take this thing for a real drive today, and I'm excited to see what all it does when we try to tip this thing into boost for the first time. So this is a stock RX8 ECU with VersaTuner. It has some self-learned stuff that will accommodate for fueling when it sees different stuff. I've never messed with this before. I'm sure most of you guys haven't either. And I'm excited to see what happens when we just step on the gas pedal and it hopefully makes boost. So I've got a few things to finish up pretty quick before we take this thing for its drive. Intercooler piping all in. I want to thank my fabricator for welding this stuff up. Got a weld here. We moved the pickup point on the intercooler from the back side to this side, so it's a pretty simple routing. Unfortunately, I ordered the wrong coupler size, Amazon coupler special, for the stock mass airflow sensor that I cut off of the original airbox with its MAF sensor in it. It's actually like a 3 1/4, and I had a 3 1/2, and I need to get a 90 degree here so I can put a filter here. If you also notice, the stock battery would normally go here, and there's a giant turbo in the way, so I've got the next step of this process is to move the battery cables here and extend them, ground everything, and extend the positive wire, and I'm going to put the battery back here. So this is the battery I'm going to run. The Superstart Extreme, specifically designed for starting rotary engines. Just kidding, none of that, but it sounds cool. It's going to fit in this spot back here, hopefully not get melted too much by the exhaust. I personally don't like rear mount batteries because they're just annoying to deal with when inevitably the battery dies. If you're going to put it in the back, at least put it somewhere where you can get to easily. So, the RX8, this car, I like putting them up here. This is kind of where your Datsun 240Z battery would go. There's those little doors on the Datsun and they sit under there. So we're moving it from here to here, and I started on some CAD. So one of the things that y'all maybe didn't know about me, or at least you are going to now, is that I used to be a civil engineer. Now we're doing this whole YouTube and cars stuff full time, and it's been super fun. But CAD, as most of y'all have seen, is cardboard aided design, which is this. This is cardboard. Well, I do CAD, which is computer aided design. So we're going to be taking this. I drew this up in CAD, obviously, real quick. This piece fits in here nicely. We got a little support that's going to go down and rest on the frame so that the battery is held up from the bottom in addition to the tension from the top here. I'll need a little spacer, but mainly the battery is going to replace the windshield washer fluid reservoir location, or in some cases your oil metering pump zone adapter reservoirs location, or catch cans, or whatever you decide to put back here. Now what I'm going to do, most people would take this and transfer it directly to a piece of aluminum or steel and cut it out by hand, but I'm going to take this and actually draw this in Fusion, and we're going to cut this out on the plasma table. So I'm going to add some really sexy weight reduction up in here, put some triangles in there and stuff, triangles in the bottom. It's got multiple bends, so you can see part of it here is going to bend down, part of it's going to bend up at a little bit of an angle. I ran out of cardboard, so we used some tape and put the holes in it, and then this thing should just save me a bunch of time, and I won't have to nibbler my way around this deal. So transferring this stuff to the computer is literally as simple as you would think. You take your tape measure, you've got your cardboard cut out. We're simply just going to measure to each important point on here. So we got 14 1/4 inches, and I'm going to basically write down all of that information on the cardboard first and then take it to the computer. So dimension out everything you need in order to create it in the computer, every cut mark, every hole location, etc. drive our torch over here and get it set up to where our work 0 is gonna be. So if I zero all the axes, that's 0 of the part. So the part will get cut out this way. I wanna just make sure that the torch isn't gonna run off of the sheet of material. When you're just using scrap material, like what I got laying around, sometimes the piece barely fits. So we gotta make sure it fits so we don't cut off into no man's land. Everything looks like, you know, our cardboard aided design fits right here. So this piece should fit right there. We'll get it dialed in so that the material is straight so we don't waste as much. Need to mark this piece here, pin that last edge down, mark and drill my holes, make a little spacer for this spot since the firewall's a little recessed, so I opted to leave this flat and just make that up with a piece of, you know, round tube or something on a longer bolt. Little foot down there for it to rest on, plus hang. I think we should be good to go. Looks good. I've seen some sort of a, you know, bungee cord to hold it in, right? Look at all this nice battery cable routing. Even labeled it POS. Positive. Battery mounted. Love the little tray. Thing looks great. You could easily use, you know, a tray or even this tray to mount like a smaller battery back here. It would work completely just fine. I didn't build any sort of like tie down strap for it because literally, like if it takes all of my effort to try to lift this thing up to get it out, it's probably gonna stay. So should clear the hood, all good. I chopped off the, it was too close to the battery for me. So now it's at least 1.5 inches away. So it shouldn't melt, ideally. I cut off the exhaust and re-welded it on like a shorter distance so it sticks up. I had to use a different 90 so it sticks up a lot higher than the hood now. But at some point too, I need to put the hood on and cut a giant hole in it. So let's, why don't we just do that? Chop a hole in a nice mint RX8 hood. You know, we could go buy another RX8 hood for the low price of probably $500 and it would come with an entire car attached. So don't feel that bad, but we're chopping it up. So front bumper's got to go back on, hood on, drive this thing. This is like real cinematography right here, right guys? Like a dimly lit shot. Nice bicycle wheel in the foreground to set the focal tone of the video or whatever you want to call it. We're making putting the bumper on this RX8 the most cinematic thing you've ever seen. How about now? Some bolts, and then all of my under tray is completely destroyed. So we just put the top bolts on and we just let that be floppy. Maybe I'll throw a zip tie on that side so it doesn't hang down as far. We can thank Southern Ohio Forest Rally for this because we used this car for recce at that rally and it was super rad, but we broke stuff because dirty back roads. Look at that, the intercooler is even higher than like the bottom of the car. So when we smash into stuff, inevitably it doesn't rip off. Sucks though, you can see that it's a turbo. No sleeper status with this one. It's not like I intended to save this bumper or make it nice at any point in its life. Like I said earlier, if I buy another hood, it'll probably come with the whole car. So then we can just use the bumper off of the whole car we buy. at a later date, you know. Dang, that's better than it was from the factory. So what do y'all think? I just get up here and jump on the hood so it dents the bottom of the hood in, right where this is gonna go. Honestly, I think I can get my hand in here to Sharpie some of this, so we might be able to get pretty close with the ichrometer here. Nice spot right here. You can see the perfect traced radius of that pipe. We're just gonna set this thing as best we can on that vicinity. I'm gonna Sharpie that out. We're gonna cut that hole. We're gonna cut a hole in the top. Hopefully when we close the hood, the pipe sticks out. Did we get it in the right spot? To make sure my hood release is hooked up. Okay. Before I latch this thing and we won't be able to get it off. Oh yeah. I might need to put a little ramp on the front of this to help kick the air over so no air goes down into it, you know? Do some aerodynamic little gurney flap right there. And we're not hitting the battery. Otherwise we'd have seen sparks flying. How about that? So this isn't the original hood for this car, guys. I know we're not chopping the original one up. This car's way too nice for that. This is the hood off of the car that's gonna get supremely chopped up. Donation parts for this car and for the FD RX7 that's getting the hybrid Renesis engine with a turbo and all the good stuff. This is just like leftover parts RX8, let's have fun, you know? More fun than efficient. All right, let's bolt this down so it doesn't fly off, and then we're gonna go drive this. It's an RX8, it always starts. Ha! Told ya. This is freaking rad. Not that I knew it wasn't, but so I got 3/4 of a tank. I'm gonna throw some premix in this while this thing warms up, just so we've got premix. No, I forgot to fix the oil metering pump oil leak. We gotta fix that. Go fix that. Oil leak. Hopefully fixed, we'll find out. I found a coolant leak too, so we tidied that up, just didn't have the clamp on all the way, so got the clamp on. We got VersaTuner fired up on the computer here. We're gonna fire this thing up, make sure that we're connected to the car, and take this thing for a drive. The nice part is that while I'm working on the black FD and the secret project with the RX7, I can drive this thing and tune it before I take it to Ernie. So we'll hopefully be able to get this thing running pretty good without, you know, just going straight to the dyno. Oh yeah, I've learned some technical computer stuff and I've figured out how to screen record on my laptop. So I'm gonna screen record the VersaTuner stuff and try to show it to you. Let me know in the comments below if you like seeing this, like on the screen, like what's going on in the laptop, or even when I'm designing stuff on CAD, etc. as we move forward, and I'll keep including it in the video. So what I'm really curious is, I guess it would be under sensor calibration, MAF sensor calibration, and I'm going to be adjusting the pounds per minute of airflow here that you can see such that it matches to the new pounds per minute of airflow with the turbo setup. Yeah, that's about as much as I know. I found it in VersaTuner. So I think what we're gonna do is kind of, because if you think about it, it already has a target AFR that's pretty good. The timing table, we're gonna have to like revamp the whole timing table because this is an NA timing table and RX8s are aggressive. So we'll have to figure out where, you know, once it starts tipping into boost, that we can pull that back out. I'm curious if, I guess, let's go back. Maybe I should put a quick little boost gauge on this deal just so I have, let's put a boost gauge on it. Because I don't have boost in here. We all ain't gonna be able to see anything but the flames come out of this hood whenever I let off the gas. On diesel. Cruising running partial throttle in an RX8, you've got almost 50 degrees of timing, which is just way too much for turbo stuff. So with these backfires, I'm more worried I'm gonna explode my turbo manifold than I am like break something, or I'm gonna like break the turbo, you know? There we go. It does sound insane though. The amount of whistle that comes out of that hood exit, gnarly. And it died. So like the mass airflow sensor, because it's just the mass airflow sensor on the inlet of the turbo, so I need to get like the screen, waiting for that coupler to come in the mail, so we're kind of just sucking at idle, literally. But I need the mass airflow sensor to not be as sporadic, because it's super sporadic at idle, which means it doesn't like to idle, because it's going from like 0.5 pounds per minute to 1 pound per minute, and just like going crazy. I think we're ready to go. So I built a new timing map, leading timing map, trailing timing map. There's a timing U and K. Got no idea what that does, but I just pasted my leading timing map in there because that's what it looked like. Went through and added a bunch of fuel on the top end, or at least I say a bunch, probably a solid, I don't know, 4 to 5% fuel past 0.5 load. So it should go pretty rich. I'm at like 0.72 on here versus I think we're shooting for like, if we're wanting like 10.1 or something like that in boost, then 0.7 might be close. Either way, my ECU has 3 fuel ratio maps, so I added all 3 of those. Did copy paste the same exact thing. So we had reverted back, remember the last video, from the hybrid tune to the base regular Renesis tune. So then I edited the base regular Renesis tune. The OMP stuff, not leaking anymore. We got wastegate plumbed, all ready to go. Boost controller added, all ready to go. And I gotta flash this tune. I named it Turbo Buzz. Mr. Rad Turbo Buzz. Safely park your vehicle with a battery charger and all the other stuff. No battery charger. We're just going for it. Next. Turn ignition key on. Next. Flashing tune. Fix my radio. Nailed it. Alright, let's pull up the old Versatuner logger here and fire this deal up. This is a cold start, fresh and ready to go, top of the morning to ya. It's an RX8, starts every time. Told you. So what I should do is let it idle to relearn all the self-learns, but I'm not going to let it idle inside my shop, so we have to back up. Whilst this is warming up, I'm going to clean my windshield because it's dirty. Sweet. So I added the screen behind my air filter right in front of the MAF sensor, and the mass airflow reading way smoother. Okay, that was a nice little backfire. I also pulled out a ton of timing. So I built a map that resembles my RX8 turbo map. So I think we're running like max full chip, maybe 14 degrees of timing, all the way out the back. And this thing should only ever see, you know, it has a 4-pound wastegate spring in it, so it should only really ever see like maybe 3 pounds of boost. So I'm gonna need more fuel. It's only running like in the 9s. And I've got a flashing check engine light now. Gotta love that. It doesn't know what to do when it sees boost. Oh, the check engine light went away. It flashed and went away. All good. Car loves boost. I think I need to put more idle timing in, so I think I want to bring the idle timing up to like 5 or 7 degrees advanced instead of 5 or 7. I think it's 5 degrees retarded, so -5. Because it goes straight to -5 when I let off the gas. but it keeps the trailing at positive 10, so that's really weird. Okay, so I need to add more fuel at lower load, at least target. It's going into the 8s there. We're making 3 pounds of boost. That's a win. Huge win. 3 pounds of boost means it probably won't blow up with me being dumb and driving it. Will you idle? No, it died. And it won't stay running. Come on, baby girl. Just idle. You know you want to idle. There you go. All the RX8 guys out there complaining that their cars want to idle after they put an engine in, you just gotta like start it a bunch of times and let it learn it's idle, and then it'll idle. If you get overzealous like me and you try to drive it within 3 minutes of the first start, then it's not gonna want to idle that time. So you're gonna have to like go relearn that. I'm gonna do a log here so I can show you guys a log after I get back to the shop on the screen of just like a nice like first gear pull to 7,000. So the stock ECU doesn't show boost, right? It just shows mass airflow volume. It doesn't have a map pressure sensor. So I have a boost gauge here and it's not even going past 5, which is a huge win. But it goes right up to 3 and holds. So as far as the efficiency of my turbo manifold at low boost, it seems to be working. But let's go ahead and do a little log. So first gear pull. There you can feel it start to want to pull. And again, that was nothing more than 3 PSI of boost. So we can put a different spring in it or even a manual boost controller. And with the 4-pound spring, I don't want to see it make over 6. I'd rather just stay at 6. But let's get back and look at the log, because I'm honestly like pretty impressed. I would have completely thought that the car, the ECU, the whole deal, everything would have just freaked out as soon as it saw positive pressure. But I don't think, obviously, it doesn't know it's seeing positive pressure. It's just like, woo, more mass airflow. So I think we're good. Alright, so looking at the log here, you can see we've got RPM is the brown line right here, first gear, second gear. We tickled, the red line is load, so let's look at what our highest load was to RPM. Okay, here, look over here on the left. And honestly, I'm kind of chicken footing it as well because I'm only at 40% throttle. So we have absolute load, 0.876. So we are demanding a pretty high load, which is good because we need to figure out kind of where the boost threshold is. Like at what load calculated by the RX8 ECU is, let's just say, the transition from vacuum into boost. Like where is that going to happen, right? Because we don't have a table that shows that. We just have load and RPM. So I wouldn't say that that's necessarily in boost, but demanding the most load is probably when it's getting close to in boost, and then it tapers off as I'm revving through here. And our AFRs up there were 0.854, so that's like mid to low 12s. I guess it's probably low 12s, high 11s. So that's not terrible. And then our ignition timing was 8 degrees. So that's very, very conservative. We could honestly put some more timing in it for how little boost that is. We could probably run that up to like maybe 12, 13, 14, or 15 degrees. So I don't know if it's pulling timing out, because I'm definitely not ever commanding 8 degrees of timing on my table. So it might be pulling timing because it's freaking out with a flashing check engine light. Oh no, my computer freaked out, but we can still see what we need. Or I guess I freaked the computer out. Anyways, so right there, 6,500 RPM, we're at 0.7 load, so it's starting to go down. That's whenever I'm getting ready to let off for my shift. During the intermediate, like while it's, you know, RPM is coming down, we're shifting, the timings jump into 14, then it goes down to -5, which is idle timing, then it goes back up to 16, back down to idle timing, maybe I'm blipping the throttle, I didn't turn the TPS on. Boom, we get back into second gear and we start taking off, and now the load comes back up to 8.55. We stay around the 0.8s for the whole time, and our mass airflow pound per minute is just climbing with RPM. So it's almost like the mass airflow pound per minute and load are kind of like proportionally related. When one goes up, the other goes up. When one goes down, the other goes down, almost like at a 1-to-1 ratio. If you're looking here on the right side of the screen where the cursor's at, I'll zoom in on it. That like the green line is my mass airflow and the red line is my load. So that's actually a pretty neat thing to kind of understand, which is kind of, I guess, how mass airflow based tuning works, is it's seeing that versus a pressure, you know? So anyways, RPM goes up, AFRs got pretty lean there at the end. So at absolute load 1.0, my AFR was 0.89, so mid to high 12s, probably right at 13. So that's not ideal for boost, but 3 pounds of boost, not really gonna tear it up. I'm still irked why it's holding the ignition timing down so low. It has to have some sort of a safety or something in there that's like, you're making too much airflow with this pull timing. So we'll have to figure that out. But happy to show you guys a little bit of this log. Maybe y'all can make a little more sense of this than I can. I still would love to know a little bit more about math-based tuning. Obviously, this is my first time ever doing it. It's the first time ever turboing a stock ECU RX8. And we're gonna learn some stuff, and we're gonna have to learn some stuff. So I'm gonna take the next few days and I'm gonna drive this thing around and I'm gonna tune it, or at least I'm gonna try to tune it and not blow it up. Get some advice from Ernie, advice from you guys in the comments. Let's see what you guys, you know, think, say. I'm sure somebody's done this before, and we'll get this thing running pretty good. We're gonna have to finish up a few other projects before we take it to the dyno, because I don't like to make solo car trips to the dyno if I don't have to. We did the hybrid. Obviously, that's kind of an anomaly. We knew we were gonna spend a little bit more of the day there, but I'd like to be able to take this car and the FD to the dyno when we go to the dyno. So it might be a week or so. Don't worry. I have plenty of other videos that are going to be coming up that you guys are going to really enjoy that aren't assembling cars. So we have some testing we're doing with the RX8 for another future project that's going to be like kind of my next personal car build. So like personally, I've got the green RX8, the yellow RX8, the RX8, my rotary truck. You know, we'll build my FD eventually. This black FD is not mine. It's my buddy Richard's car. So we're going to build that, kind of, you know, get some cash flow in, building the car for somebody else. And then the next big car that I'm doing for myself, well, I can't forget the rally car, is, it's incredible. So if you want to see it, go check out the RadWorks Patreon. It's a whole nother tier of Patreon. Just those guys love having their support, because that's what's like ultimately, the Patreon is what is driving, making all of this possible. Me being able to do YouTube videos and not be a civil engineer. So I can go back to being a civil engineer, and obviously not all of this stuff would change, but the video frequency, the amount of stuff that gets accomplished in a video would be way less, because I like to watch videos that have a decent amount of like stuff getting done or information in them versus like making a whole video about putting wheels on my RX8. So we're gonna keep making good, long, bigger things getting accomplished in the videos. But with that, that's going to be the end of today's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the turbo RX8 doing donuts in the grass and figuring this out and using some CAD, some computer and cardboard aided drafting design. Got a little bit more work ahead of us on this thing. A couple other projects coming up that you guys are going to enjoy, and I'm just stoked. This next video you guys are going to see, I've been working on it for a while. It's going to be a proper introduction to probably what the channel is going to be known for the foreseeable future, which is going to be really cool. In addition to, I know the Patreon guys, the regular Patreon guys know what we're doing, but the green card's got to come in here because it needs a little bit of work for, you know, the next couple weeks, which will be more videos you guys will see, not so much working on it, but what we're doing with it, which will be pretty rad. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching the videos. Do all of this, enjoy talking with you guys, do all this for you guys, sharing everything, and I couldn't be happier. So with that, keep it rad, live a life you don't need a vacation from. We'll see you in the next one. Okay, so here's my candid end of the video, what's going on. Notice we've got Fast and Furious 1 drum brake conversion brake calipers on the front because we don't have a brake caliper on the front. In addition, the tires on this thing are kind of smoked, so I got to change tires, put a brake caliper on, and then we're doing something pretty, honestly, it's like bucket list for most people to do this. There's a really famous movie about it. The only thing I'm going to allude to you guys about is there's a giant aluminum box over here that may or may not have to go in the green RX8. So we got that. In addition to the stuff you're going to see on the RX7 has a lot to do with this front splitter, some aero stuff, and then ultimately, like, you know, going very fast. So get excited for that. And then if you want like a sneak peek on the black FD, dash out, heater core replaced, wiring harness for some fancy Haltech goodies is done. I'm laying everything out in the engine bay, got everything taped off. I'm gonna wave my hand so that this looks very distracting to you so you can't really see what's going on, but I have to figure out and finish and assemble the whole deal. So get fired up. Peace, guys.